Well, people have to really understand that the whole concept of mainstream academia is only a few hundred years old. And that's what's weird. It's like, so these very recent structures, these very recent establishments want to be the gatekeepers of information of a vast swath of the world. I mean, it's not possible. It's not possible that you know everything.
It's not. I was thinking about that.
You know a lot. They know a lot about things they have discovered. They do. They know a lot about Mesopotamia. They know a lot about Iraq, all the amazing stuff that they find. There's some stuff they've very accurately dated. But it doesn't explain things that you can't explain. And they want to try to just
fit it into
that's what's goofy.
Yeah, I mean, look, if the puzzle piece doesn't fit, stop trying to force it.
Well, it's like more gigantic, spectacular pieces, and you're like, well, those aren't important.
Yeah.
I mean, Ben Van Kerkwijk with this most recent discoveries where they're using the ground-penetrating radar to find the labyrinths and this 40-meter long metallic object that's inside of an atrium down there. Like, what is that thing?
Yeah, I hope it's something. If they go looking, and I hope they do, and this is the other thing, it's like let's start putting money towards this, like now. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like figure this out. I don't know why I thought this. I think it might be a meteorite. If it's some sort of like metallic thing,
40-meter long.
I know.
That's a fucking civilization ender.
But and imagine the next civilization coming across that thing and hearing the stories. It's like, oh, shit, let's worship this, or like let's revere it somehow and put it in an atrium.
Well, like
that's just
Mecca.
my thought. Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
Like there's
just this one's 40 meters.
Yeah, there's a meteorite at Mecca that they all go to touch.
Yeah.
Which is kind of crazy, right?
Yeah.
But completely makes sense, right?
Yeah.
Something comes from the sky, it lands, causes chaos, and then you worship it.
I mean, that also wasn't one of like King Tut's knives was made out of a meteorite or something like that. I mean, so they were finding these things. You know, 40-meter one is pretty big though.
I know, but also Tic Tac shaped.
That's the other thing. I'm like, so when it comes, I'm just like, let's go.
Well, you know, that's part of the Bob Lazar lore.
I remember.
Bob Lazar said that when he was told that at least one of these things came from an archaeological dig. Yep. Like, what? What do you mean? He's like, that's what they were telling me. I don't know. But they told me that one of them was from an archaeological dig. So these things are really old.
Dude, and his accuracy was with the element 118, 115, something like that.
From 1989, when element 115 wasn't even discovered until the 2000s.
I mean, that's why when he's, I forget who I was talking to outside, but we were talking about, I think it was talking to Jamie about that, about Bob Lazar talking about some of these things coming from an archaeological sites.
Yeah.
Let's go find it.
Right.
You know what I mean?
Well, that's where it gets really weird. Where it gets really weird is these mummies.
Oh, we're going to go into the mummies.
What do you got here, Jamie?
Eric Burleson, a representative, talking about how he's asked the White House to give DOD the power to let them go see this stuff, including that a buried UFO.
Reportedly, an object that is not in this country that is so large it cannot be moved. That they've built an entire building around it, and I think either Greer or another individual has actually mentioned this site, but I'm not going to mention it because it is a classified location. But there is there's reported a really large object, and that's one of the locations that I'm requesting to get to. It's going to involve a lot to make that happen, but that may be the final destination.
Shit like that makes me want to run for president, because that's all I would care about. The economy would be in shambles. I'd be like, show me the UFOs.
Do you think they'd do it? Because I've heard that like
kill me.
I mean, it's on that need to know basis where they're keeping stuff from presidents. You know, Kennedy got too close. I
don't think that's what they killed Kennedy for, but I think there's a bunch of things. But
there's a whole lot of layers.
Yeah, but the UFO people love to think that it's UFOs is why they killed Kennedy. But they think everything's UFOs. But it definitely seems like, I don't know about the evidence. because it's just stories. And that's the problem, is that a lot of this stuff, and this is how I feel when a lot of people come on the podcast and talk to me, supposed whistleblowers. Some of them I think are legitimate, and some of them I think are disinformation specialists. I think they're designed to muddy up the water, and this is what they're saying is designed to muddy up the water, and that's what they're trying to do. They're trying to make a lot of this stuff look silly and push certain narratives and just create confusion. And I think a lot of it is probably some black budget, weird science stuff that we have. But then it begs the question, where'd you get that?
Yeah.
Is that really like the Diana Pasulka work where she's talking about essentially these things are donations, and that we're supposed to like take these things and try to figure it out? And then you look at some of the creation of some different inventions that happened very quickly after Roswell.
I mean, our civilization just been on a boom ever since.
Yeah, weird stuff like the fiber optic stuff and transistors. The history of the creation of the transistor and the people that were involved in it seems awful fucking fishy.
I try to stick with what evidence that I can make out tangibly, and it just gets so murky. Like you said, it just all of this gets so murky that I don't know how the truth would even land,
Well, the truth would have to land if there was an overall comprehensive effort by all of the world governments. And there would have to be some sort of unity in this, and some sort of like a recognition that this is really important for the entire human population to understand our past.
Yeah.
And if this is nonsense, let's find out that it's nonsense. And if this is real, this changes everything. Yeah. And when you look at just look at the vastness of the cosmos, it's not outside of the realm of possibility that this stuff either came from somewhere else or was here because they were here. Yeah. That there was an advanced civilization here, whether it's our civilization or whatever the hell those mummies are.
The one that's real famous is the black and white one. It's the USS Omaha thermal. I know I put it on Extraordinary Beliefs.
USS
there we
Omaha.
go.
There it is.
So this is the one that went into the water.
Yeah.
Yeah, they believe it went into the water, this particular one. But remember, there's 14 rolling right now at this time, at this exact second. There's 14 of them swarming the ship.
So this is just, they have, what is this? What are they locked on
So
here?
this is thermal. So you should see plumes of heat. You should see rotor wash. You should see wings. You should see something that allows this to propel. The shape you're seeing is the thermal signature, but they also believe that to be the actual signature or shape of it there, and it blinks out. So they said splash, splash in the video when you release it, but that doesn't mean it splashed into the water. Like there was no splash. It was just like they believed it went into the water. They actually sent, this is not public, but I know it to be true, they sent a submarine to try to look for any wreckage of this thing. Nothing. So imagine 100 of these. Let's say, I thought about this the other day. What if they were kamikaze drones, right? Okay, that's something. But the problem is they weren't. They don't. Where did they launch from?
And also, where's the wreckage? Where if they're kamikazes, they'd find it.
So it's okay. So this is a real problem for the people fighting the ships. They feel that they failed in their duties because they weren't given the right opportunities to investigate and engage, and it happens more regularly than our Navy would like to admit. That there are unknown objects in the South China Sea, out by Japan, off the East Coast, and as recently, I'll say, as this year.
What was the video, or was it just photographic, of the triangles in the sky?
So that's a big topic of debate, right? So that was from the USS Russell. So on the USS Russell, let's say I have one person that comes to me.
That's these things.
Right. So the common wisdom is that they were, oh, dude, thank you actually for this opportunity to explain this. So check it out. You see optically a triangle shape.
Right.
Okay, that's the radar footage from the Omaha. So you see optically the triangle shape. Now, people said I made it up, that I made up pyramid. in shape. Now, I put that in quotes when I first reported on it because that's what was in the intelligence reports that happened to pass in front of our eyes, that they have other sensors and that this thing was pyramid in shape.
Play it, Jamie.
Triangle by angle of
It
observation.
ends right after this. I was just trying to get to the pyramids.
I just want it
Picture.
like this. See it moving
Yeah.
around. Why is it flashing? Do they know?
So that's the whole thing. So there's people that work in these UFO programs that did a full report on this, none of which is really public. So the internet says that this is bokeh effect. So like the lens on the PVS-14, somebody taped a triangle onto it. So what you're seeing is a lens artifact. And then in Congress, they backtracked from it because they realized the PVS-14 doesn't have a triangle aperture to make a shape of a pyramid-looking thing. And they said it was the camera that was being shot through. They actually did that in the first congressional UFO hearing, and say that it was that. So to back up, we don't know the shape of it. George and I don't know. All we know is that in briefing documents that we were exposed to, and they have other sensor systems to determine shape, they said triangle by angle of observation, pyramid in shape. So I can't justify to the public the shape because it's just, if they change their mind, hopefully they tell George.
Here's the other part that people leave out of this discussion. They say it's bokeh effect. It's actually showing stars in the sky. They leave out this little inconvenient fact is that they have a rangefinder on the ship. These things were 700 feet off the deck of the ship. If it was a star, it would have fried Earth into a cinder if it was 700 feet away. It's not a star. It was an object that was 700 feet off the ship. So.
There were two at that moment. So there's a briefing slide that we acquired and made public. And there was nothing in it to say it was classified. It was a briefing slide. And in that briefing slide, if Jamie finds it, it actually tells you, triangle by angle of observation, 700 feet off of the aft or whatever of the ship. So look, we're getting down to one piece of evidence. What people forget is that this was a 3-night event series with over 100 objects airborne at one time, surrounding 10 Navy warships. So the big question is, well, who knew our warships were there? And what Commander Fravor said at the hearing, we don't test experimental shit on ourselves without warning people that we're doing it. He's like, that would be really dangerous. And I'll give you an example. In 2019, one of the ships, I've spoken with one of the people fighting the ship. So they're called the TAOs, Tactical Action Officers. And what was reported to me was that when they were getting swarmed, that the admiral ordered, what's the name of that rail gun or whatever? I forget the name of it, some cool name, but it's like this really high-powered shooting metal up, and they're like, we had active flights, we had helos in the sky. Can you imagine somebody being like, we're getting swarmed, pull out the Gatling gun or whatever it is, Like the Whiz or something, I don't know.
These are still images.
Yeah, this is the slide that was used in this in a briefing that was prepared by the UAP task force. That was the briefing that was delivered to the Joint Chiefs, to certain members of Congress.
And in this time, there was 2 of them that were over this ship?
At this exact time? So 3. See how they say 3 unknown UAS, unmanned aerial systems? Because I asked the people that wrote this, why did you say UAS and not UAP or whatever?
Right.
And we didn't really have that language yet of what to call it. So they debated over it. They said that's the right term. So this image is to represent, one of these.
What does the S stand for in UAS?
Unmanned aerial system. And there's another one.
Unmanned.
So that is one option. And I asked one of the guys, why did you say unmanned? And he goes, because of the size of it, it wasn't quite big enough to put a human man in. So he's like, that was just the best terminology that we had. He goes, now I would just straight up say, UAP. These were unidentified flying objects, UFOs.
Right.
So I don't know. We're kind of, just to wrap this, is like 2019 is an important event. because it's well documented. We were able to provide, not just from the USS Russell, not just from the Omaha, we brought witnesses forward. I think it was like episode 2 of our show. Like we had people come in with their testimony. It's an important case because swarms happen all the time on these training ranges, and with it, what appears to be an increased frequency. And people ask, why training ranges? And it might be because whoever these people are interested in what we're playing with.
The East Coast, we have a naval air station called Oceana. It's gigantic. It's the biggest naval air station on the East Coast. It's a key training range for all our naval aviators, the best pilots in the world. They fly out into this area, I think it's W-72, every day. I reported this in 2018. I think people thought I was making it up. But in 2014 and 2015, these pilots fly out into the same area every single day, and every single day they were seeing these unidentified objects sitting right there. They would sit there for days at a time, 30, 40,000 feet. It's not a balloon. They would just sit there in 100-knot winds right off the base so they could see what was going on at that base, see what training was going on. It was some kind of an observation operation, but we didn't know whose they were. Pilots would see them every day but wouldn't report it because they don't want to have to go through the hassle of, hey, you saw a UFO, fill out the paperwork, get interviewed about it. But eventually, when Jay Stratton became head of the UAP task force, he started talking the Navy into, come on, guys, we need to document this stuff. So pilots started taking pictures with their cell phones. They detect these things on their sensor systems, fly over by them, and get a couple of photos. There were 3 different ones that we made public. They don't look like the Starship Enterprise. They look just weird objects. We had no idea whose they were, but they were seeing them every day. And I know when we first reported that, people thought we were making it up. But then Ryan Graves came out and said, yeah, it's true. We were
he
seeing
reported
them every
it
day.
years before. We hear stuff before, and everybody's like, oh, come on, every fucking day, Turns out it's true. But here's the deal. On the internet, they solved it. They're like, these are all just balloons or cold birds,
Yeah.
And here's the deal. Pilots see that stuff all the time. These are actual, you've heard the spheres, the cubes with spherical, like these pilots are not making it up. It's so weird to me. The internet can just like feel like they solved its balloons. These are constantly, and these are our fighter pilots. And I'm not saying they're infallible, but there's so much data now.
So what is this one?
On the internet will
Yeah.
tell you it's a Batman balloon.
Yeah.
Is that one legit?
That's called the Acorn. They don't know what it is.
Yeah.
They don't know what it is.
This was in a classified briefing, but it is inherently unclassified. This image itself, because it was from a cell phone. But the thing is, the internet has said that's a Batman balloon. Okay, maybe. But the thing is that there's 3 more in that series that George obtained and released. One they call blimp with metallic blimp with payload, which is important, the payload part. But look, man, that's a balloon.
Yeah. Hold, please. I'm going to take a leak. We'll come right back.
Yeah. Maybe I'll piss too.
All right, we're back up. Where were we?
Just on these, every day, these pilots are seeing things, and in fact, they're worried about flight safety. But also, that's just a good way in for people to take it seriously. It's a much bigger issue than just flight safety, but that's something everybody can get behind. You know what I mean?
So the debunkers would say what we're seeing, because they're seeing it all over these restricted airspaces, these warning zones, is we're seeing our drones. We're seeing some sophisticated technology that's top secret stuff.
And they'd be incorrect.
And the other way of looking at it would be the reason why they're in this area is these are the areas where our most sophisticated fighter jets operate.
So
and that they're observing.
So that's one thing. So maybe there's observation programs. Like there's this thing, about baiting with nuclear weapons. Like if you talk to any of these drivers who do these nuclear trucks, there's not one that doesn't have a story about being followed by an unidentified. So there's this idea that there's an interest by these, like an observational program by whoever are operating these craft. But also, we just have some of the best technologies to record these out in our training ranges.
I was told that there was an active program. It was an experiment, really, with nuclear-powered ships and carrying nuclear weapons, and they wanted to see if something would follow them. And they did it 18 times, and 18 out of 18, these objects tailed alongside. They just wanted to document that they're interested in nuclear stuff. 18 out of 18 times, it followed them.
But they just seem to be watching.
That's the debate. So Commander Fravor, Graves, and David Grush were all asked at this hearing. They said, I don't remember who it was. It was a gentleman who said, do you think that this is possibly an observation program? Yes, yes, yes. Do you think, they could be, we could be in trouble because of it? Or I don't remember what he asked. Yes, yes, possibly. So I think the answer from those involved would be it could be a reconnaissance thing. It could be an operational thing, where they're watching how we react to things. Hypothetically, I have no idea. But the option is there for that. They've just been here so long, though. It's like, how many times do you need to send drones to map the moon? One time.
Right.
What if the bottom line is they live here? They've always lived here. Maybe they're separated by some kind of a dimensional membrane or something. They can come in and out of our lives. They can watch us when we're sleeping, when we're taking a shower, when we're in the bathroom. They can see us and enter our lives, and we can't do anything about it. People could freak out about that. What if they are us from the future, which has been explored a lot? That maybe we fucked up the planet so bad that we end up looking like little gray aliens sometime in the distant future, and they're coming back to check us out to see the point of where things went wrong. That could be disturbing to a lot of people.
Well, the disturbing thing is that the little gray aliens are some sort of cyborg.
Right.
And then they're genderless, and it seems like they communicate without mouth noises. They just have a little slit for a mouth.
Yeah, some of these have pilots, apparently. I know that's a weird thing to say, but some of them seem to be drones, doing a function. Like the Tic Tac, when it was coming from above 80,000 feet and it was dropping down to sea level, it was Commander Favor's first interview was with me, and he said the best way I could describe it is docking. With what? There was something under the water. Right? That's what was making that white water. Mm-hmm. So the idea that these things were somehow communicating with something under the water is really embedded in the core of that story. If that's true, right? Then these things were coming down and docking. Now, that would be more like a drone, right? Rather than something that is occupied, right? Mm-hmm. These Tic Tacs. The fallacy is people say, oh,
hopefully it all comes out and people can legally talk about it at some point. But
can you talk about it without?
I know there's been multiple contact events, like
coordinated
straight up contact events. One of them is revealed in the film actually, but there are more. There was this. Several of the people in my film talk about an event that happened at Halleman Air Force Base where two non-human crafts approached the base. One landed. Beings walked out and interacted with Air Force officials and CIA officials. And a couple people go on the record talking about that in the film. But there have been other events, I've been told.
How are those beings described?
They were described as tall, slender, humanoid. And the another thing that I heard that gave me chills was that someone involved with a recovery interacted with a non-human being that was dying and heard thoughts in his head that said, you humans don't know your full potential. And that was said to me by a very senior, older guy from the intelligence community. And I thought that was pretty incredible. Also, just the extent to which the legacy program is real. This isn't like 50 guys sitting in a quiet, dark room. You're talking about a massive program with thousands of people going to work every day and dealing with this. And to me, that is mind-blowing, Yeah. The guy next to you at the pizza place, on a Saturday night might be working on this during the day,
Right.
The guy who, the other father at your kid's Little League game.
Yeah.
This is what he deals with, right? The fact that is a thing, and, we had a similar dynamic for the Manhattan Project. There were always people working on it, and they kept it secret, right? And their neighbors and friends didn't know. But this is that on steroids. So, after the Manhattan Project, which was had a budget in the billions, this situation arose, and it had to be even more secret than the Manhattan Project, because the Manhattan Project, we found out in hindsight, leaked, right? There were moles.
Right.
So we needed to make this even more secret and give it more money and more resources and more, counter intel.
And more threats.
Which is counter intel, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, threats if you reveal those secrets. But it's like the more this stuff gets discussed, the more I go back to what Lazar said. Because what Lazar is describing from the 1980s is exactly what these people are saying now. They've had these things. They've been trying to figure them out. They've been working on them. At least in the 1980s, they hadn't totally cracked it yet. But they did know how to operate them, and that they would do these tests. But everything was so compartmentalized. He said he wasn't allowed to talk to the metallurgist. There was different people that were assigned to it.
Yeah.
What they were assigned to do was to try to figure out how the propulsion system worked.
Yeah.
And then there was other people that were assigned to try to figure out how the metallurgy was formed.
Yeah.
Because whatever it was seemed like it was 3D printed. It didn't have any seams.
Yeah.
And when he talks about it, it sounds exactly like what people are talking about today, which is really bananas.
Yeah.
Because this is late 1980s, and he's the first guy to crack through with this stuff.
Yeah, everything is so in that secret program. Everything is so siloed out, where you could have one team of defense contractors who are working on one thing. They're not even told it's from an alien spacecraft. They're just told, "Here's the thing. It might be Russia. It might be China. Tell us how it works."
Right.
They're just kept in a little bubble. And one of the issues now is that everything's become so overclassified and so siloed that it's actually hurting progress. And that's a lot of the scientists in my film are voicing that. And one of the other things I learned recently that isn't in the film, Jay Stratton, who ran the UAP task force, he told me that during that time, he had started a talk with one of the senior scientists at Lockheed, who was frustrated by how overclassified everything was. It even made it hard for the defense contractors to get the right manpower and brains on it, because not everyone can be cleared to do the work, right? There's all these like red tape hurdles to progress, right? And so they had made a plan to move one of the crafts that had been recovered that was in Lockheed's possession into the possession of the UAP task force. And then the task force was going to be able to put more brain power towards it. And then the head of science and technology at the CIA shut it down in the middle of the transfer. They had actually secured a hangar on a military base and prepped it to be a classified hangar that would hold this craft, and they were stopped. So the issue of overclassification.
Did they know what happened after that?
Yeah, the CIA shut the whole transaction down, and the craft stayed in Lockheed's possession. And then that particular leader within Lockheed died about 2 years later. So the effort kind of stopped. He had cancer. The overclassification is definitely a hurdle for this. And our competitors don't necessarily have that. Like there's no free will in China. She can just be like, "Hey, you're the smartest guy graduating your class. You're going to go work for the nation on this,"
Right. Period.
And here, the problem is no one knows it's real. One of the things I hope the film changes is it makes the scientific community know that this is a valid area of inquiry. This is real. It's a real situation, and there's a ton of problems for the next generation of engineers and scientists to solve, And so hopefully it inspires them and helps us make progress, because there's a lot of progress that could be made here.
Well, it certainly seems like it, but it's like one of the things that you guys propose in the film that I think may be the only way forward is some sort of a mass amnesty to all these people that did lie to Congress and probably misappropriated funds and maybe stole them a little bit here and there. Like if that doesn't happen, no one is going to push to make this public. No one's going to push for like actual full disclosure, because it leaves them too exposed. And if they do have the kind of power that they must have to be running an organization of thousands of people working on something with unbelievable amounts of money being transferred to these programs, they don't want to let that go.
Yeah.
Like this is like it's a honeypot that they're drawing from, right? And they're probably still taking too much, or there's no oversight. You're still lying to Congress, and you'd have to have some national security amnesty program saying, look, in the interest of national security, it's critically important that we get all of our best people working on this. The only way we're ever going to really do that is to completely reveal that this is actually really happening. This is real crafts from somewhere or something. We have them. We'll tell you where we have them. And I think right now people wouldn't even freak out, because I would think that people would freak out if there was some sort of official narrative of disclosure. But that's sort of been breached, right? The New York Times breached that in 2017.
I think this film is that. I mean, this is
Film is
34 credible
huge.
people putting their reputation and name on the line, which I honestly, Joe, I think it's stronger evidence than any video or photo. These days, you could put a 4K video of a giant craft over Vandenberg, and half the human population will say it's AI,
right,
or creating some visual effects program. But someone of note putting their name and reputation on the line, their career on the line, the rest of their lives on the line, to say this is what I know to be true. To me, that's the greatest evidence that exists. But I do think, to your point, amnesty is something that's gonna have to be figured out, because while it's hard for anyone to accept letting people off the hook for wrongdoings, right? It does seem like it's in the best interest of the bigger picture.
100%.
Because these people just aren't good. They have no incentive to come forward with what they've learned. And so, to quote Rubio in the film, he says, look, this is not a endeavor to go and punish anyone, but we need to know what they learned.
Right.
And I think he's totally dead on. And,
is he in favor of some sort of an amnesty program as well?
Yeah, he says on camera in the film, he's like, I'm not trying to punish anyone. I need to know what they learned, because taxpayers paid for this, and it's in our interest to know what's going on. But the other thing that's needed is real whistleblower protection, not the whistleblower protection that's been passed so far, like much stronger legal protections, so that people like the folks I talked to, the special forces guys I talked to, were going to come forward and then decided they thought to be forfeiting their lives. You've got to change that set of circumstances. You got to make those people feel like that's not going to happen to them.
Right.
And what I think ultimately is going to have to happen, and I wouldn't be surprised, man, if it happens soon after the film comes out, I think a sitting president has to step to the microphone and say, definitively, humanity's not alone in the universe. We have recovered technology of non-human origin. So have other nations. There is a high-stakes secret Cold War race to reverse engineer this technology. We need to win this race, and the U.S. intends to lead in this new chapter. I think that needs to happen, like a level set of basic facts, and I really do think it will happen.
Well, if that is going to happen, I think Trump might be the only guy that's willing to do something crazy.
I think it's very likely that he does that. I know that he is aware of the film. I know he's aware of what people in his administration say.
Has he watched it? You know that?
He has not watched the film, but I know he's very aware of it, and I know that they are discussing internally how they're going to react to the film publicly. And I also know that he has very recently, tasked Tulsi Gabbard with getting to the bottom of the situation and finding out for him what he needs to know that he doesn't know.
Really?
Yeah. And as Rubio said in the film, Rubio says on camera, on the record, on the film, that this has been kept from sitting presidents. And he goes into detail on how that's been done, and how it's the career bureaucrats in certain elements of the government that control this information and just wait presidents out and don't feel like they have a need to know.
Right. Well, there were some people that tried to find information out in the beginning of the Trump administration. Who was it? There was someone that talked about it on record and said he was told at every turn that you don't have the clearance.
Yeah. But here's the thing. Trump actually found out about the base facts in his last presidency and was contemplating stepping to the microphone then.
What base facts?
So Jay Stratton, who ran the task force, he says on camera in my film that he briefed that Mnuchin, the Secretary of Treasury, asked for a briefing on the lay of the land because Trump asked him to get the briefing, and Trump had already known that the base facts that we're not alone in the universe, that there's been recovery of crashed craft, right? He knew those base facts. And he told Mnuchin that he was thinking about going public. And so Mnuchin reached out to Stratton to get a briefing. And he told Stratton that the reason he wanted the briefing is because he needed to be able to evaluate what the impact would be to the economy if the president decided to step to the mic and tell the world we're not alone. And Stratton tells the story on camera in the film. And I've heard a lot more about it off camera. So we know Trump contemplated doing this already. Now I think the release of this film and Rubio's involvement puts enough on the table that it makes it easier for him to do.
I think they would have to have some sort of a plan in place if they were going to say that, right? Like the amnesty plan, the idea behind it would have to be in place. If someone's
at least grab control of the situation and say that this is real and the U.S. intends to lead the way. Because the other factor that the White House has to keep in mind is you don't want Xi or Putin being the guy to do that.
Right.
You don't want them to have that moment, right?
Right.
Something I was thinking about with regards to that moment of a president stepping to the mic. When we entered the space race, Kennedy gave that big famous speech, right? He was like, "We're going to lead in space technology, space technology, like nuclear technology, has no conscience of its own. It's up to man to use it for good or bad, and we're going to make sure it's used for the betterment of all mankind, and we're going to lead the way." That was his whole rallying speech, right? And it made the whole scientific community be like, "We're going to help the U.S. win," rah rah rah, right? I think that's needed in this race. We need all the support of the scientific community, of academia, the kids coming out of MIT. We need them putting their brain power towards this, and I think the White House knows that. And it's also the greatest. That's the greatest TV moment a leader could have in the history of humanity. Step into the microphone.
Do you think Elon knows?
Look, I've seen him obviously talk to you about it. I think he knows a lot.
Yeah, me too.
I don't think you get the contracts and the clearances you need to operate in space without some horse trading.
Yeah, when I went to SpaceX, I'm like, motherfucker, you know everything. There's no way you're launching these fucking things into space without them keying you in on exactly what's going on. He's just sly about it.
Well,
He goes, well, if they are aliens, they're certainly all subtle. That's what he says. Are they really? I don't know, man.
I think it's impossible to operate in space like he does and not be aware of everything. And also at the level he operates clearance-wise. I held a secret screening at the National Space Symposium earlier this year, which is the Super Bowl of the space industry. It's like 60 people, heavy hitters from the space industry. We didn't promote it or publicize it at all, but there were a dozen guys from SpaceX there, and they all seem very aware of everything revealed in the film.
Yeah, I'm positive.
Yeah,
he's my friend, and he won't tell me.
He's a legend.
He keeps a lid on it.
He's a legend.
But how would he not know if it is? And some people have told me he knows that know he knows some things. So whatever. But the point is, people are good at keeping secrets. That's real.
100%.
Even people that aren't notoriously good at keeping secrets are good at keeping secrets when they have to be.
Do you think if you put yourself, you've interviewed Trump, do you see him doing that? Stepping to the mic and telling us the truth?
Someone talks to him about it and convinces him it's a great idea. Like if I had an hour with him.
I mean, it's literally the single, in my opinion, the single greatest moment a leader could have.
Well,
in the history of the world.
If he could be the guy that blows the lid off of it, that would definitely help with his legacy too, which I think would be a good way to convince him.
Can I bring your attention to something that's been happening on the internet since we've been live?
Yes.
President Trump was asked about Obama talking about the aliens. I got a video on the screen.
Oh, perfect.
I want to hear it myself.
Yeah.
Barack Obama said that aliens are real. Have you seen any evidence of non-human visitors to Earth?
Well, he gave classified information. He's not supposed to be doing that.
So aliens are real?
Well, I don't know if they're real or not. I can tell you he gave classified information. He's not supposed to be doing that.
Well,
he made a big mistake. He took it out of classified information. No, I don't have an opinion on it. I never talk about it. A lot of people do. A lot of people believe it. Do you believe it, Peter?
The president.
I do now.
So if you want to make an announcement.
I may get him out of trouble by declassifying.
We know illegal aliens.
I may get him out of trouble by declassifying. That's hilarious.
What else?
That was it. What's going around the internet? These in the circles of these.
I may get him out of trouble by declassifying. Jeez, I hope he does.
Yeah, really.
Yeah. Imagine you can get in trouble as a president for saying aliens are real.
I don't think so, man. I don't think he's gonna get in trouble for that.
Well, what did he say then? What was that?
They've been saying there's aliens. Like,
Right, but what did he just say?
he just hates Obama. He's going like, oh, he's going to jail. I'm getting Hillary and I'm getting Obama for aliens.
They all hate each other and then they all hang out and shake hands.
Yeah. Yeah, whose funeral was that when like George Bush and them were handing out candy to each other? It was like George Bush and
Well, George Bush and Michelle Obama are apparently friends.
oh, they're buddies.
Yeah.
Okay.
Which everybody thought. But George Bush never engaged in like this insult kind of thing that Trump does.
It's true.
It's a different thing.
Yeah, it's totally that's.
He was
totally
always
true.
very classy.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And especially when you see the videos of him back in the day, like now you're like, man, this guy's like lovable.
Oh, dude, in comparison to the politicians of
That's
today,
what I'm saying. Yeah,
he was like, oh, when is he running again?
the guy's a complete class act. And then you're like, oh yeah, fuck the Middle East, forgot about that. But it's like,
Oh, yeah. Well, he had Satan on his side.
yeah, true,
Dick Cheney was
true.
running around fucking shooting his friends in the face and hunting trips.
That's true. I don't know. I mean, that thing is like, was it classified? It's like now, but then if Trump's going to be like that, he gave out classified, then he's letting you know it's classified. So
Right.
he's telling you the cat's out of the bag. So
Well, he's saying I may declassify it. I hope he does. I hope this like gets
Yeah.
him, because that is a weird thing to say. He's not supposed to be saying that. Well, that means it's real. He gave out classified information. That means there's real data that aliens are real. That's the only thing you could draw as a conclusion from that statement.
yeah,
Right?
yeah, you would think.
I don't think is it. I would try to come up with another reasonable way. He would say aliens are real. You shouldn't say that because it's classified.
Yeah,
That means it's real. Aykroyd's crazy into UFOs. He's like one of the main celebrities they pull up when people start talking about like UFO real believers. He's done like little clips where he narrates things, UFO shows and shit. He fucking believes.
Well, didn't they just release that there's even more belief now about
Yeah.
UFOs?
Yeah, it's fun. I don't know if it's real, but it's fun. That's how I feel.
Doug, I did a podcast with Jim Florentine, and I explained to Jim Florentine that what people don't know is that Hudson County, New Jersey, northern New Jersey, is the number one place in the country where they have the most UFO sightings.
Really? Northern New Jersey.
Look it up, Jamie, if you get a minute, please, not to be rude.
But isn't that like near a couple airports?
No, it's closer to, like, you know, like when you live in New York City and you look at the Hudson River, they say that people go on their balcony, they're drinking coffee, they're talking on the phone, and they'll see a little flying saucer go by.
Really?
And I know for a fact that in 1976,
A little one?
whatever the fuck they are, I know for a fact that in 1975 and 1976, you could check me out on this. A UFO landed in Hudson County Park. I was a kid, and the next day the feds locked off the park. They had yellow tape. They had samples. Go look it up, dog. There's a UFO. You see that's called, North Bergen is where I'm from. That's called, I forget what it's called, but it's a circular building. So they did so much coke in there in the 80s, they called it the grinder. That's what they called it, because it was shaped like the Stonehenge. The Stonehenge. I have a couple friends that lived there. People that lived in that building have seen UFOs for fucking years. And if you go to YouTube, there's an actual North Hudson Park UFO. Wow. They dug up, they came out to there's a liquor store. And the liquor store guy says he's seen the lights. You heard like the organ music that they play. They landed. A couple Martians got out and took samples and got back in the thing and took off. There's a YouTube thing. There's a History Channel special about it. And I still remember being a young kid.
Did you find anything, Jamie?
That was what's popping up, all that stuff about that building and.
Oh yeah, no.
Is there anything that says a UFO landed?
That's the story I'm reading right now. Is what he's saying. Yeah.
And witnesses. You know, it's not just one guy that says I know UFO. It's people who got knocked on the door and said, "Did you see anything at 11, 10 at night?" And they said, "You know what? There were lights flashing outside." They contacted police departments to see if there was any. They went full. Then the FBI came in, circled the park. It was by the Little League field in Hudson County. But it is like you'd think it was Area 51. You'd think it was close to northern Las Vegas. The number one place to see UFOs is northern New Jersey. They even made a reference to it in The Sopranos when he said something. He goes, "What are you talking about? Last week you said you seen a UFO in Hackensack." Because that's where they're at. Hackensack, Moonachie.
Right.
All those. You ever go to Moonachie, New Jersey? A lot of ugly
Yeah.
people. A lot of people with big heads. The only good thing in Moonachie, New Jersey is fucking Segovia, Spanish restaurant. It's been there since 19 fucking Schlemensky. I don't know. But that's the only good thing about Moonachie. I think those people in Moonachie have been abducted. There you go. And they put them back as big-headed motherfuckers.
I did a gig there a couple times.
Oh, yeah, there used to be like a bar. There's a bar that did something in Moonachie.
Was that a Bob Gonzo gig?
Yes, outside the Sea Caucus.
Was it?
Yeah, it's outside. No. I think Bob is more down the shore and
He
stuff.
he had gigs all over.
He had
the
gigs
place.
all over, Bob. How I met Bob was he did a gig in Romano's Italian restaurant in my hometown. And my buddy's like, "Hey, aren't you a comedian? Let's take you up there." And we went up there, and Bob's like, "I don't know him." You know, he said, "Unknown." And next thing Bob came up to me, he's like, "Dog, I got to put you up because my friends threatened me." So Bob put me up, and we've become friends ever since.
That's awesome.
I think I follow him on Facebook. We have a chat from time to time on Facebook. But yeah, for you UFO motherfuckers, look into northern New Jersey. That's the fucking motherload of them.
That's interesting. I had read that before, but I kind of
There you go, 51.
51 UFO sightings in 2018. You get biased because the story is always some person in the woods and they get abducted. They see a UFO in some strange town in the middle of nowhere. The aliens land, abduct people. You always think about it being a rural thing. But if I was an alien, of course I'd go to New York City. Of course I'd go to New Jersey. What the fuck? Why wouldn't you? You want to go see the craziest thing we have? You got like 7 million people stuffed together on a fucking tiny island in comparison to the rest of the planet. Stuff stacked on top of each other. Awesome, amazing buildings. All these lights at Times Square. Look at all these people mulling around, traveling over these bridges to get to this one hub, this one hive of humanity. Of course, if I was an alien, I would check that out.
Well,
Why would I look at a barn? You know what I mean?
You used to have a joke that the United States is the Tijuana
Of outer space.
of outer space. Like they're like, what are we doing this weekend? We're going to fucking...
They come down when they're fucked up and they want to see a show.
They want to see a show.
That was the whole bit, is that I think aliens come here when they're high. They just get fucked up. They're like, come on, let's go check out the monkeys. Let's go, dude. Come on, let's abduct a couple of them. Have a good time. Let's go see the monkey people.
I never saw a fucking UFO.
I want to. I never have, though.
I want to see it land, and I want to see one of those green dudes get out. So I
think I thought I saw some shit when I was a kid, but as I got older, I thought that was like a fighter jet or something. That's what that was. Like there was something. God, it's a real sketchy memory. It's one of those memories that's like barely active. But I remember thinking for like a day or two when I was like a little kid, maybe I saw a UFO. But I think I was trying to convince myself of it. You know, I was bored. But I think it was a jet. I think it was something fast and unusual. Have you ever seen one of those stealth bombers? That looks like a fucking UFO. Have you ever seen one of those things in the sky?
No, yes.
It looks like a Star Wars
Like when you go to
movie.
like a Blue Angel fucking thing, those planes.
Yeah,
that
they'll
they
probably...
use?
No, those are like... I think those are FA-18s. That's what I think it is. I think that's what that is. I flew in one of those. I had a bit about that, too. Yeah, you got to do that. You hold on to the hand. You got to do it. You hook. You either hold on to your handle if you're steering the plane, or you hold on to your straps if you're a passenger. I was in the passenger seat, so I grabbed a hold of my straps, and you have to go like this, hoot, 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 and you have to force blood into your brain to stay awake. That's how much G-force you're going through. It's insane.
Force blood into your brain to stay awake.
See, that's one of those stealth bombers. I saw one of those in the air over, I guess it's Edwards Air Force Base. Is that what the one it is? Is Edwards the one that's out near Palmdale? I think that's it. Because we used to film Fear Factor in Palmdale, and we saw that thing fly overhead like that. Look at that thing. Tell me that doesn't look like it's from another planet. When you're on the ground and you see that fly overhead, you're like, what the fuck is that? So I think that's responsible for a bunch of the things that people saw. I think it's military crafts.
Can I ask you a question on that article you pulled up, the 51 sightings? What type of sightings do you
Look
have?
at this fucking thing.
What is considered a sighting?
Well, the thing is, like, you just see shit. But how do you know if... What are you doing, Jim?
These are the sightings.
Okay, but go back to that video. Look at that thing. I mean, come on. if you're just sitting on the ground, you saw that, you're like, they're coming, the aliens are coming. That does not look like it's from this world. That thing is madness.
Especially with those two guys next to him.
God, it's fucking beautiful, though. Like, what an amazing design. That thing flying through, it looks like something on a keyboard. You know, it looks like a symbol on a keyboard. And it's just flying perfectly through the air. That looks like the future. I mean, that really does look like it's from another world. I would imagine, like, little blue dudes with black eyes and talking to each other in that thing. Going through fucking wormholes and shit. I mean, that's what that thing looks like. And what's the thing that they're going to have 100 years from now? Just imagine that.
I just want to know what the logistics is for it to be considered a legitimate sighting.
Legitimate sighting?
Legitimate sighting.
It just means that someone saw it. You know, you don't, like, if you're a lawyer, okay, and you see something, and then you convince yourself that what you saw was something extraordinary, and you have the feeling that you're looking at something from another world. But if it's just some drone or some military vehicle, and then you look at it, and then you convince yourself, then it becomes a bigger and bigger deal in your head. That's a problem with people. It doesn't mean that everybody that sees something is seeing that, but people are kind of full of shit.
Well, let's say there's a 1-800 call Martian. Mm-hmm. All right. I see a fucking thing. I call that thing.
1-800 call Martian.
Yeah, call Martian. Okay, whatever the fuck.
Okay.
1-800 Martian.
Right.
The phone won't stop ringing. Okay, the phone won't stop ringing.
Stop ringing.
It will never stop ringing.
There'll be people talking to Martians.
My concern is, when do they consider it credible? What does it take for it to be credible? For me, for it to be credible, I got to see the motherfucker land, get out.
My take is usually military guys. When you have military fighter pilots, that's an extraordinary human. If you can be one of those guys that flies one of those B-2s, for them to trust you with that $1 billion fucking spaceship, dude, you got to be an exceptional human. There's no room for someone who's full of shit. You're going to be a top flight fighter pilot. You're going to fly around with gunfights in the sky, because that's what they do. They have gunfights in the fucking sky. Those guys are exceptional human beings. So when they see something, that's when I listen, for sure. Everybody else, I'm not that I wouldn't listen, but I don't know. You know, you might be crazy. But you might be crazy even if you're in the military. You might be crazy if you're a fighter pilot. It's 100% possible.
So those fighter pilots and all those Air Force pilots that do test runs or whatever, they say that they see things?
There's a bunch of sightings. Not only a bunch of sightings, there's a bunch of sightings from these really credible guys. What is this? Fleet of UFOs followed U.S. aircraft Navy pilot says.
Yeah,
May
this is
29th.
what I'm talking about.
See, these guys that are talking about these things, these aren't guys with histories of embellishing things. They have this, whatever that is. Is that radar? What are they looking at? Is that infrared? Like, what is that screen that they're looking for? Does it say what kind of image it is? Because it's like a weird look. It's not like a photograph, right? It's like a weird computer image. Because it's detecting it, right, with some piece of equipment, right? Isn't it? Like tracking it on radar or something like that?
I know what you're saying, because I feel like I've heard that description of it too, but this article just says it's video of 2 aerial encounters.
That's tremendous.
But that video doesn't look very clear. Why isn't it clear? My phone does a better job than that shit.
They don't have very good cameras on those.
Cameras,
they have good cameras. I mean, they don't have good ones, but like in order to catch movement at that high speed up there, yada yada, all that stuff.
Oh, so it would require some exceptional gear.
I think, and it could have also been at night. I don't know what time of day it was.
So convenient. So convenient that they never have a clear picture. That drives me fucking crazy. It drives me fucking crazy, because if it is real, I want it to be real. Honestly, I really do. But when I look at it, I go, God damn, so many people are so crazy and so many people are so full of shit.
You personally believe, and so do I,
dun, dun, dun,
that there's other galaxies out there. There has to be.
Well, there definitely other galaxies, other civilizations.
Other civilizations.
Yeah.
Some form, somewhere. Out of the 9 planets, there's got to be
there was
something. I don't know what. I'm not going to sit here and tell you what they're called or whatever, but there has to be something. At this point, you have to believe that.
The universe is too big. It's just too big to discount, to say, nope, I doubt it. Like, that's so crazy to say. Just because we haven't seen it yet, it's so big.
There's the explanation of what he caught and what
He said that though tracking equipment, radar, and infrared cameras on his aircraft detected UFOs both times, he was unable to capture them on his helmet camera. Okay.
So maybe he couldn't look at it, get it in good vision or whatever. I don't
Maybe.
know. Yeah. I don't
Yeah.
know. Or that's a good reason why he.
I would imagine as fast as those goddamn things are going, it must be really hard to get a
See what
camera
he
to be able
just
to
says
constantly
there?
focus in and out. And
That's interesting. He says that Lieutenant Ryan Grimes, Graves, whatever, a squadron of UFOs followed his Navy strike group up and down the eastern coast of the U.S. for months. That's, I'm telling you, that little fucking. I read something about the Hudson River, that all those people that live across the Hudson River, whether on the Weehawken and Edgewater side or the west side of Manhattan, those are where the people on their balconies see all that shit.
look at this shit. We did have issues with them when we went to the Middle East, Lieutenant Graves said. Imagine them following the war. Imagine if they were aliens and they came down to follow the war. So they see the war going on in Iraq,
How crazy is that?
Afghanistan. They come down and they're checking it out.
Just to go on the cynical side of this, they're not necessarily saying they are an alien ship. They're saying it's a UFO, so it's something they're not sure of. What if
course.
it's some sort of awesome drone that some Middle Eastern company has and it can just follow shit or
Possible.
move faster or something? Who
Sure.
knows? I don't know.
That would be the more likely explanation, right? Terrestrial would be more likely that someone has advanced shit. We know they have advanced shit. I mean, we know they have incredible drones. You know, I mean, the stuff that they can do.
Dog, I heard they got drones. That Green Berets or SEALs, you put razor blades on them, and they slit your fucking throat when you're driving.
Whoa.
That's how good the technology is on those drones.
Jesus Christ. I wouldn't be shocked if they could do all kinds of things that
You
we
could
can't
be
expect.
standing there, and they could take the drone to just come down, and fucking, they put razor blades on them or some shit.
Well, you could totally see someone having a small drone, like a small thing, like the size of a cheeseburger, that has poison in it, and you just slam it into somebody. I could see that. But you're seeing, when you're seeing stuff that's flying around the sky, most likely is made by a person, because people make stuff, and people know how to make stuff that flies around the sky. But then when you get to shit that like defies physics, like some of the things these fighter pilots see, that's when you got to go, wait a minute. You see these extraordinary feats of traversing distances, like they can get from one place to another place so fast it looks like they disappear. This is something they all talk about. They all talk about the insane speed at which these things can go. They can just change angles. They can just go and then take a hard right angle turn. They can do stuff that nothing that we know how to make can do. That's where it gets to be like, whoa, like nothing. It's not like it's like, oh, that's like a fighter jet, but like really fast. You know what I'm saying? It's like an alien car. Oh, it's like a car, but it's way faster. Like it's an alien car. But this is not like anything that we make. These fucking things, they fly this way, they say, flat, like a plate hovering over the ground. But when they go to fly, when they go to take off, they flip up sideways. And they have like the bottom of the spaceship is pointing towards where it wants to go. And it does something to space and time, make some sort of fucking magnetic gravity connection, insert big spooky words, whatever. They don't know how the fuck it does it, right? This thing can go like insane distances in insanely small amounts of time. Then when they all report the same kind of behavior of these, I mean, so many of these reports are like that. They're talking about this thing that goes insanely fast, turns on its side. It looks like a Tic Tac. It looks like a saucer. It looks like they're trying to figure out what the fuck the shape is because it's moving so goddamn fast. But it's doing stuff that nothing we know how to make can do. I don't know if it's from another planet. It might be from here, but it's exciting. It's exciting shit. I want it to be from another planet. That's what I want, like unbiased, like what I would love it. Just be completely honest. I would love it if it was aliens. But if it was people, I'd be even more scared because like, goddamn, people can do that. People can do that, and no one knew. Like if you could imagine a person who can make a spaceship that defies all of the rules that we know about travel, about air travel. If they can make something that defies all that shit and somehow or another keep the whole development and production of it a secret and then have this thing and take it off and no one knows how the fuck they did it, That's almost more impressive than aliens. Because that's what these things are doing is if these pilots are accurately reading what's happening and they're telling the truth, the thing that's remarkable is their stories are very consistent. There's a lot of very similar stories from different people that they make a living flying super fast warships. They see things. They know what the fuck they're looking at. They see something they don't know. They're like, what in the fuck is that? When they see something like that, that freaks me out. That's when it gets me. Because when some fucking kid's riding his bike to school and he looks up and he sees a UFO, okay, maybe it did happen. Maybe it did happen. Maybe the kid's being 100% honest. Or maybe he was bored. Maybe he was bored and decided to make up a crazy story and stuck with it. And then after a while of telling it, maybe he believed it himself. That happens too. People see things. They don't know what they're seeing and they decide that it's a different thing. I've said this before, but it's a true story. When I was in Alberta, there's wolves there. And I thought I saw a wolf for like a whole second. It was a squirrel. It was a fucking squirrel. But I saw gray fur movement wolf squirrel. Like, if you're dumb or if you're compromised or if maybe you're a little drunk, maybe you're a little tired, maybe you just saw something that looked really weird because of, whatever weather conditions that are affecting some part of the world you live in. There's things called ball lightning, flies through the air. It looks like a UFO. You ever see that shit? It's like a real natural phenomenon. Somebody might see something like that and then add a bunch of other shit to it. And that's where you get a lot of these stories. You get like natural phenomenon and then people adding a bunch of shit to things. But then on top of that, you have credible stories. And you can't throw out any of them. Like it's when you look at all these things, you can't decide just because there's a bunch of crackpot stories about UFOs that the ones by legitimate fighter pilots, that those aren't real. You can't look at it that way. It's crazy to look at it that way because it's more likely there's something out there than there isn't something out there. It's way more likely.
When I was a kid and that happened in Hudson County Park, I wrote it off. I didn't even pay attention. I remember riding my bike up there, seeing the Fed tape and seeing people with those orange protective suits on.
Yeah.
And I was like, these people are fucking out of my mind. Then one night I got high, 5 or 6 years ago, and I saw it. And somebody had posted on Facebook or YouTube, and I read more and more into it. And I discounted it until I read the accounts of the 28 people.
Yeah.
In that building, the liquor store, there was a guy who had just got dropped off a bus from New York. There's buses drop you off there from New York. Mm-hmm. The bus driver said there was a flash. He couldn't, there were just so many people with stories that, they didn't see a fucking guy get out. Only 3 people saw people get out. Mm. Everybody else discounted the lights and the noise and the other bullshit that went with it. I would have shit my fucking pants if I lived in that building and saw 3 little Martians get out. Or it could just be fucking. Who knows? Who gives a fuck?
Yeah, man.
I just wanted to tell you that's where
people can get freaked out, and they can, they can think all kinds of things that didn't really happen.
Hey, one night I was on acid. I thought it was I thought the FBI was out there with dogs. When I went out the next day, it was fucking a fire hydrant, all right? I dumped an ounce of coke down the toilet.
Oh, my God.
Because I hallucinated. Because when you do coke for more than fucking 10 hours, you start hallucinating. I started hallucinating. I thought it was fucking dogs and it was a fire hydrant. You know how stupid I felt the next day? Pretty fucking stupid. Pretty fucking stupid. I sat there and I went over and petted the hydrant. You fuck. You fuck.
This is a problem with any story, like all these fucking UFO stories. It's people's memory. Memory's not that good. It's just not that good. It's too hard to figure out what it actually looked like after you saw it. Like you see something crazy like a year ago, and then you try to describe it. It's too hard to describe. Like you barely remember it. Your version of it is a rehashed version that you keep repeating to yourself. If you saw something, like say if you were hiking and you saw a wolf, right? If you saw that wolf, when you try to describe that moment you saw that wolf years later, like what are you actually seeing when you're going into your memory? How accurate is it? We're always lying about how accurate our memory is. It's not that good. Like if you did see a wolf, which is an extraordinary moment, right? You're in the fucking forest. You're like, it's a fucking wolf. That's a wolf. And you see a real wolf looking down on you, a wild motherfucker in the woods of Canada, just looking at you, staring at you on a trail. Like that's an extraordinary moment. But if you try to recount that in your mind 10 years later, what do you actually see? How much do you actually see? You see this blurry, weird, fucking misty version, and you've got some words that fall into place that can describe it. But how accurate is your fucking memory? It's terrible.
How accurate is your memory?
It's good with statistics.
Okay.
Like I can tell you about fights. I can tell you what year someone fought. I can tell you how this guy won and how he beat this many guys with a triangle, and I remember things. But if I actually have to remember what it actually looked like in my head, I can't really pull that up. I barely can pull it up. I see it, I'll recognize it again. Like you show me Joe Schilling knocking out Melvin Manhoef in Bellator. I watched that KO so many times. A wild, crazy slugfest. And if I see it, I'm watching it happen in a video. I remember it. Yep, this is how it goes. Here it goes. Boom! He KOs him. But if I had to just pull that out of my brain right now, it's not good. Do you know what I'm saying? Like if I have to close my eyes and pretend I saw Mike Tyson knock out Michael Spinks, I kind of can see little flashes. I can kind of remember weird little parts of it. I remember the final right hand. Boom! He just sends him flying through the ropes. It was chaos. It was just like he's the best ever. But if I had to play it back in my head, it wouldn't be nearly as good as a video of